1692, Salem, Massachusetts. A village ripped apart by paranoia. In the dead of night, screams echoed as innocent lives were condemned. But what if witches were never the real threat? What if the true evil wasn't in the shadows but sitting in plain sight, wearing the mask of justice? What happened in Salem wasn't just hysteria. It was something far more dangerous. And it's a warning we've failed to heed for centuries. 1692 was a year like no other. A small village in Massachusetts, isolated by dense forests, harsh winters, and constant fear of Native American raids, became the perfect breeding ground for paranoia. But what led to this outbreak of mass hysteria? It wasn't just religion, as most assume. A combination of political instability, economic struggles, and even strange weather patterns, yes, our little ice ages, had left the community fragile and superstitious. One surprising theory? The eruption of Mount Hekla in Iceland in 1691. Ash clouds from the volcano disrupted global weather, worsening crop failures in New England. To the Puritans, this wasn't science. It was divine punishment. When the weather gets bad now, we just complain on Twitter. Back then, they blamed witches. But the spark? It came from two girls, 9-year-old Betty Paris and 11-year-old Abigail Williams. They started having violent fits, claiming unseen forces were tormenting them. And when doctors couldn't explain it, they blamed witchcraft. But was it really witchcraft, or something far more sinister hiding in plain sight? What started as childish accusations quickly spiraled into a full-blown inquisition. The newly formed Court of Oyer and Terminer was created specifically to deal with this so-called witchcraft epidemic. But this court wasn't interested in truth. It was fueled by fear. Evidence presented during these trials was bizarre. Spectral evidence, for example, allowed victims to claim they were attacked by a witch's spirit in their dreams. Imagine being convicted based on someone else's nightmare. But the chaos didn't stop there. Some of the confessions were coerced through brutal means. Did you know Tituba, a Caribbean slave and the first accused, confessed after being beaten? She crafted stories of meeting the devil and signed the metaphorical death warrant for dozens. Yet, beneath the surface of these confessions lies a dark truth. Were they all lies? Or could there be a hint of reality to their words? Now here's where science takes an unexpected turn. In the 1970s, researchers suggested a new theory: ergot poisoning. This hallucinogenic fungus, found in damp rye bread, can cause seizures, paranoia, and terrifying visions. Historical records show that Salem experienced unusually wet conditions before 1692, perfect for ergot to thrive. And symptoms of ergot poisoning closely mirror the fits described in trial testimonies. You imagine your morning toast causing a full-blown witch trial. Talk about gluten intolerance at its worst. But the theory isn't foolproof. Why didn't every villager fall ill? Was this just one piece of a much larger puzzle? And if poison didn't cause the hysteria, what else could explain it? The answer lies in power and politics. Let's face it, Salem wasn't just about witches. Land disputes, family rivalries, and a thirst for control played a significant role in the accusations. One of the most shocking discoveries is how wealthy families used the trials to eliminate their enemies. Accusations conveniently targeted landowners, and when they were jailed, their property was up for grabs. Take the Putnams and Porters, two rival families at the heart of Salem. The Putnams were behind many accusations, while the Porters often defended the accused. The trials became less about witches and more about consolidating power. How? Many of the accused were middle-aged women who had inherited property or stood to gain it in the future. The Putnam family alone was responsible for over 100 accusations, targeting individuals whose land bordered theirs. Once jailed, the accused couldn't defend their property claims, and the opportunists swooped in. But there's another sinister angle: gender and power dynamics. Women who defied societal norms, whether by speaking out or refusing to remarry after becoming widowed, were often branded as witches. The trials became a way to silence those who dared challenge patriarchal control. Now think about it. How many innocent lives were destroyed just to satisfy greed and preserve a rigid social order? The Salem Witch Trials weren't just a tragedy. They were a tool of oppression. But as the trials spiraled out of control, cracks began to appear in this facade of justice. What finally stopped the madness? And who paid the ultimate price for seeking the truth? Behind every accusation and every trial, there were real people, mothers, fathers, daughters, and sons, whose lives were destroyed by fear and lies. Take the story of Rebecca Nurse, a 71-year-old grandmother known for her kindness. Despite her impeccable reputation, she was accused and hanged. Her death sent shockwaves through Salem, as even staunch believers began questioning the validity of the accusations. Then there's Giles Corey, a man who refused to plead guilty or innocent. He was pressed to death with heavy stones. His last words? More weight. Imagine the courage it took to defy the court, knowing it meant certain death. These weren't witches. They were victims of a system that turned neighbor against neighbor, fueled by fear and power. By 1693, the tide began to turn. Public opinion shifted as more respected members of the community, including the wife of the governor of Massachusetts, were accused. Suddenly, the hysteria no longer seemed justified. It seemed absurd. The court was dissolved, spectral evidence was banned, and Governor Phipps issued pardons for the remaining accused. But the damage was done. 20 people were executed, and over 200 were accused. One of the greatest tragedies? It took over 300 years for Massachusetts to officially exonerate the names of all the accused. Imagine your family carrying the stigma of witchcraft for generations, all because of baseless accusations. But the Salem Witch Trials weren't just a historical anomaly. They were a warning, a dark mirror reflecting the dangers of mob mentality and unchecked power. And what's scarier, history has a way of repeating itself. The Salem Witch Trials may have ended centuries ago, but their lessons remain as relevant as ever. Fear and ignorance can be more dangerous than any spell or potion. If you're fascinated by how history's strangest moments continue to shape our world, check out our video on the Curse of the Pharaohs, another tale of mystery, superstition, and fear. Just click the link on your screen, and I'll see you there.